Hi everybody, it's Jonathan Davis here and I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. Just before we get started, I'd like to take the opportunity to wish everybody well in the challenging times that we currently face, but it's can be an opportunity to change gears a little bit and keep up to date with some industry and technology trends, things that we don't always get to do in the day-to-day our normal day-to-day lives. So it's a pleasure to be able to bring you some more information about one of the emerging Trimble technologies in the webinar today. Just a quick note or housekeeping note. We have a lot of people on the line today. So we will take questions via the webinar chat. So at any time through the webinar, please feel free to enter a question into the chat, and then I've got some time reserved at the end to make my way through as many of those questions as I can, and if I don't get through all of them, then you can be sure that you'll get an email in the next couple of days with a follow-up. So once again, welcome to the webinar on Trimble Catalyst. So today, the topics that we're going to run through, I'll do a slightly better introduction of myself in a second, and then we'll talk about the Trimble GIS data collection solutions, because that's the context in which the Trimble Catalyst technology will be talked about today. And then we'll run through the Catalyst technology itself, and then we'll look at a couple of use case examples, and then, as I mentioned before, we've got some time at the end to answer any questions that pop up. So just a little bit of an introduction of myself. My name's Jonathan Davis. I work for Trimble in a business development role. I've worked for Trimble for about 20 years now in a variety of places, but currently down in New Zealand, working in the geospatial sales team, supporting our channel partners with the GIS side of our geospatial business. So, looking at the Trimble mobile GIS data collection solutions that we have, they typically comprise of 4 different components. The first one is the handheld, or the device that you're using to collect the data. The second one is the software that runs on that device, which obviously defines the workflow that you're using. If the GPS accuracy of the device itself is not sufficient, then of course you can add a GNSS component to improve the spatial accuracy of the data that you're collecting. And then the fourth component is some sort of delivery mechanism, so that you can get the data that you're collecting or perhaps updating in the field off the device and back into your system of record. And the Catalyst technology that we're talking about today obviously fits in that GNSS component. So here I am out in the field collecting some data, and I'm sort of thinking to myself, what accuracy does this Trimble device achieve? Because I'm collecting some information, including spatial information or the positional information about assets that are in this area, and some of them are quite tightly spaced, and I want to be sure that the spatial information that I'm collecting accurately reflects the location of the various features of interest. And I just wanted to set a baseline, I guess, or align everyone on the accuracy that a typical cell phone achieves when you're out in the field. So a typical cell phone will achieve, in the very, very best case, 5 to 10 meters accuracy. That's plus or minus 5 to 10 meters positional accuracy. And when you get into environments where there are obstructions, that could be near trees or buildings, then it can get a lot worse. And if you've had the experience when you're using the in-car navigation and you're in a city block and you suddenly jump to the next block or something like that, then you'll understand that sometimes when you get into these tight environments, the GNSS accuracy that a typical cell phone achieves is perhaps not what you think it might be. Sometimes you can get the impression that the accuracy is better than that, and that's usually due to some smarts that are in the application that you're using that might keep you on a road, for example, when the position that the device is actually has is varying more than that. But I just wanted to align everyone on the line here that the best case position that you can get from a normal cell phone is about 5 to 10 meters. So when I'm out here collecting information about the assets, if I want better accuracy than that, then there certainly are some options that I can look at. So the first one there would be migrating from a cell phone to what we call an integrated device. So that's integrating the cell phone with a high accuracy GNSS component. And one example of something we have in the Trimble portfolio there is a TDC 150. And then there are a couple of Bluetooth receivers that you can connect to your mobile device to improve the positional accuracy as well. And the Trimble R1 and Trimble R2, they really just differ by the accuracy that you can achieve with each solution. The R2 can get you all the way down to 1 to 2 centimeters, and the R1 is more in the half-meter range. And then there's a fourth option, and that's what we're going to talk about today, and that is the Trimble Catalyst system, and that is a software GNSS system that we'll get into over the next little while. So what is Trimble Catalyst? Trimble Catalyst is a GNSS solution from Trimble where the implementation is in software that runs on your device. So that means that you can have GNSS positioning capability available on demand on your Android device, meaning the Android device that's already could be in your pocket. The capability is available as a service. So what that means is there's an upfront cost for the antenna, and then there is an ongoing subscription cost for the positioning capability. And an important point is that the Catalyst technology can be used with any app that's on the Play Store that uses location information. And it's an opportunity for, when I was in the field earlier, it's an opportunity for me to replace the phone's internal GPS with Trimble accuracy and reliability. So let's get into a little bit of more detail here. So there are 4 different components to the Catalyst system. The first 2 are the ones that you're already using, your phone, and then the app that's on your phone that's defining the workflow. And then the third component is the DA1 antenna. And then the fourth component is the Catalyst positioning capability, which is the software that runs on the phone, and then that connects to the Catalyst service from Trimble as well. So to show that a little bit more, well, visually for me anyway, so there are the 4 system components. There's the device, the Android device running the mobile app that you're already using. And then to bring the improved accuracy capability using the Catalyst technology, we add the Trimble DA1 antenna, and then there's the subscription element as well. And the subscription includes the positioning capability, which is using what we call the Trimble Corrections Hub, which is enabling the GNSS accuracies that I'll talk more about in a second. And we'll go through these components one by one. So starting off with the Android device. So like I said before, the Android device could well be the one that's already in your pocket. So the minimum hardware requirements are on the screen there. The rule of thumb is that most devices released since about 2017 should be compatible with the Catalyst technology. So I think most people's phones are probably newer than 2017. And there's more information, on the various hardware requirements available at the link there that you can see on the screen. Then, of course, Trimble has some devices that can be used with Catalyst, and the one that I use most often and recommend would be the Trimble TDC 600, which is on the right-hand side there. It's a fully capable smartphone from Trimble with a nice big display. It's ruggedized against drops, but most importantly for, when we start sort of getting into using devices like this, more than just a cell phone, but you're taking them out into the field, battery life becomes an important consideration as well. And this has a removable, or it has a very, very high capacity battery that lasts all day, but it's also removable as well. So you can take a lot of battery life with you out into the field. So that's just a very quick mention around the requirements of the Android device. Next, we'll talk about the app that runs on the phone, or how the apps that run on the phone might work. So again, a very important point around the apps is that Catalyst will work with any app that's available on the Play Store. So any app that uses your device's location can use the high accuracy positions from Trimble Catalyst. So you've got your existing device, you've got your existing app, so it's very, very easy to deploy this technology to improve the accuracy of the data that you're collecting. There are two ways that an app can integrate with the Catalyst technology. The first is by having native support added to the app. And there are several examples from Trimble and third parties of apps that have native support for the Catalyst technology. If an app doesn't have support integrated into the app, then it can still be used with Catalyst, but instead of using it directly with the app, you need to download the Trimble Mobile Manager utility app and have that running in parallel. And the Trimble Mobile Manager app is used just to manage the Catalyst receiver, so to configure some of the settings, and also manage the subscription to the service as well. And that's a free download from the Play Store. So again, the most important takeaway in terms of the mobile app is that the Trimble Catalyst can be used with any app on the Play Store that is using the Android device's location. Here are some of the Trimble apps that are supporting Catalyst, so TerraFlex, PenMap, UAV ground control. I'm not going to go through what each of these are, but there are several. And anyone that was on my webinar last week that looked at Sight Vision would also remember that the Sight Vision system is leveraging the Catalyst technology as well. In terms of third-party apps, there are several partners who have developed apps and integrated using the Catalyst SDK. They've integrated support for the technology into the app. But again, for the third or fourth time, I just reinforce that any app can use the high accuracy positions that come from the Catalyst technology. So next we'll move to the antenna. So the antenna is relatively low cost. It's lightweight and it's very high performance. So it's supporting multiple constellations, multiple frequencies. It's not supporting all of the constellations and all of the frequencies, because in the implementation of this technology, it was really about finding the balance between providing something that was low enough cost that we can sell it, or it's really about balancing the cost of the device with the performance of the device. So it's a very high performance antenna, and it's a very robust system. but it certainly doesn't replace any of our more professional solutions in the portfolio. So it's really finding that balance between cost and performance. It's very convenient. There's a cable that comes out of the antenna, and it simply plugs into the phone and connects to the app, and you're away. And then there's a variety of mounting options as well that I'll show you in a second. So the Catalyst technology, I mentioned that there's an upfront cost and then there's an ongoing subscription. So the upfront cost for the antenna kit is $350 US dollars. So that gives you sort of the ballpark of what the cost will be depending on your exact location. I know we've got a lot of people on the webinar here from around Australia and New Zealand, but also some from Europe and North America as well. So I've put the price in US dollars there just to give you a ballpark of what it would be in your region. And that antenna kit includes the antenna, of course, and then the cable that connects to the phone with an adapter as well, depending on the connector that's in your particular Android device. It comes in a fabric protective pouch, and then there are some different options to mount the antenna, as I'll show you on the next slide. And then to extend the life of the system in the field, it also includes an external battery and a holder for that battery as well. So in terms of how the antennas, or how the DA1 antenna can be configured when you're using the system in the field, it's really a question of the accuracy that you're trying to achieve. So here I've shown a couple of common configurations for this type of technology. The first one on the left is the antenna mounted on the top of what we call a survey pole. And that is the configuration that you would use to achieve the best accuracy possible, because for any non-GIS professionals or surveyors that are on the webinar, the position that the system is measuring is actually the position of the antenna. What you're interested in is probably the position of the asset that is on the ground. So the survey pole is the mechanism with which the measured position of the antenna is translated through to the point of interest, which is on the ground, because the height of the survey pole is fixed. So by using the survey pole and a level bubble that's attached to the pole, you can hold it very, very accurately and translate the position of the antenna to that point of interest on the ground within a few millimeters. The second configuration there is mounting the antenna on the backpack. That's very convenient, of course, because it means you're not having to hold a survey pole, but the accuracy is you're not going to achieve the same level of accuracy. And then the option that I use quite often when showing this technology is a simple telescopic camera pole. This collapses down into something that I can fit in my backpack, and it's very, very convenient. And when I extend it, I put the antenna on top and extend the pole. I've got a little bracket that I can attach to the pole that I can mount my cell phone in, and I reckon I can typically achieve accuracies within probably 4 or 5 centimeters using that configuration. So there's a variety of configurations. I've seen some people just choose to hold it in their hand. Others, I was doing some vineyard mapping not so long ago, and we actually just put the antenna on a post, so it wasn't mounted on anything. We just placed it on top of the point of interest. I've also seen that technique used when doing some ground control points for some UAV mapping. We just simply put the antenna on the point on the ground as well. So it really just depends on what you're doing, and more importantly, the accuracy that you're trying to achieve. And speaking of accuracy, now we'll talk about the various subscriptions that are available for the technology. But the subscription component is really about selecting the desired level of accuracy. There are 4 different monthly subscription options, and there's a freemium option, and then there's also an on-demand option. So we'll run through them quickly, starting on the left and going to the right. So if you buy the antenna from Trimble and connect it to your phone, then just by improving or by using the antenna which is in the DA1 over the antenna which is in your cell phone, you're going to improve the accuracy of the positions that the cell phone is recording. So that's what's represented by the 2 meter option there on the left-hand side. If you buy the antenna and activate a subscription, then there are 4 different accuracy levels for the monthly subscriptions, starting at the 1 meter level. The next is what we call sub-meter, which is typically about 30 to 50 centimeters. The next level is decimeter, which means about 10 centimeters. And then we have the most accurate option, which is what we call precision, and that will give you an accuracy that falls in that 1 to 2 centimeter range. And again, the prices that are shown there are in US dollars, and that is just an indication as to what the price will be per month in your region. And then the option that's on the right, on the far right there in the orange, is the same level of accuracy as the precision monthly subscription, but instead of subscribing monthly, this is more of an on-demand model where you buy a block of hours and pay as you go. So just to summarize these again, there is a free option that just uses the antenna to improve the autonomous position of your phone, which gets you to about 2 meters. And then there are 4 monthly subscriptions that you can choose from. And that's really just about choosing the desired level of accuracy. And these are for those across those 4 levels of subscription, there is unlimited use per user. And then on the right hand side, there is the on-demand option, which is a pay-as-you-go model. So the accuracy is achieved through a worldwide infrastructure that Trimble has. So, you know, and we don't have, or the accuracy that you can achieve depends on the infrastructure that is available in your location. So I'm not going to get into all of the details of what technologies are available where and how they work to deliver the various levels of accuracy. But just be aware that some of the accuracies or some of the higher levels of accuracies are not available across all regions when you're using the Trimble Corrections Hub, which is the Trimble worldwide infrastructure that comes together and uses a hierarchy of different correction technologies to enable the various levels of accuracy. But on the other hand, if you don't use the Corrections Hub and you have access to some local corrections in the form of either a local VRS network, which a lot of regions have, or perhaps there's a local internet base station available, then the Catalyst technology using the Trimble Mobile Manager utility app that I mentioned before can be connected into that local correction. And when it is connected into that local correction, it will achieve the highest level of accuracy. So that is a quick summary around all of the components that make up the Trimble Catalyst system. So some different business model considerations for the different types of organizations that might be looking to adopt the Catalyst technology. So the obvious one is the low startup cost. It means that you're not tying up capital an asset that might not be used, as much as it should be. So there's a low startup cost to get into the technology. It's $350 for the antenna, US dollars. And then from there, subscriptions are available from $40 a month, or if you decide to go for the on-demand model, then you're paying $10 per hour, and you can purchase those hours in blocks of 10. You can update and change your subscription as you need to. So if your needs change over time, then you can update your subscription and pay for the accuracy that you need for only when you need it. You're leveraging your current devices and apps, of course. So in terms of the learning curve, this is something that sort of plugs into the back of your existing solutions. So very, very easy to adopt and to deploy across a team. And with the flexibility in the subscriptions, it's a tool that we're finding is really popular for project or seasonal work. So a lot of different organizations, they'll have their field work season, depending on where you are in the world, through the summer. So it could be an option to subscribe to the service during the summer, and then you can put your subscription on hold during the winter when you're not using the technology to save a little bit of money. And then, of course, I mentioned before, you can change or cancel the subscription at any time. So some considerations for larger organizations, and this could be an organization of 3 or 4 up to what people like to call enterprise level organizations or deployments of several thousand. And for me, they're the same, all of the same considerations that I mentioned for the individual on the last slide apply here, but there are some additional ones as well. So with the low upfront cost and more of the cost being put into a subscription model, it's easy for an organization to scale up and down within your OPEX budget, which frees up capital for other investments. The technology is built in a way that you can equip everybody across the team with a low-cost antenna, and then by either moving the monthly subscriptions around your different users, or if you're using the on-demand model, all of the users across your organization can draw from a common pool of hours. So it's a very efficient way for the team to have the technology that they need, but only when they need it. And it avoids juggling the different capabilities or the different equipment, across locations, across team members. You just equip everybody with a low-cost antenna, and then that juggling is done, or whatever juggling might remain is done via software and subscriptions, rather than worrying about the various hardware components that need to be shared or sent from one person to another. So just some of the, fairly high level, but just some of the business considerations or business model considerations for different sized organizations. So now we'll get into, I've got 3 example use cases. The first one is a company out of the USA called Precision Cutting Concrete. And what they do is they manage trip hazards, which means the little lips on the edge of the footpath or the sidewalk that can cause people to trip. So the local councils employ this company to go and mitigate those safety risks. So this company was adopting some digital technology. They were using pen and paper, and they started using smartphones, and they wanted to use the phones to map the locations of the various trip hazards. but the accuracy wasn't good enough, and you know, they talked about the accuracy being sort of in that 30 to 50 feet range. And when you're talking about individual cracks in the concrete or individual footpath or sidewalk panels, you know, that accuracy just isn't good enough at all. So they needed a solution to improve that accuracy to improve the overall value that they were offering to their customers. So why was Catalyst compelling to them? For a couple of reasons there that I've highlighted or highlighted there in the text, and that is it's very, very simple to set up and use, and it's also very easy and cost effective to roll out to the various franchises as the business grows across the country. So the second example here comes from the UK, and this is a slightly different example. It comes from a company called Corec, who is a Trimble distribution partner in the UK. So this example is looking at the technology through the eyes of a developer. So they developed the software called K-Mobile, and they have integrated support for Catalyst into their solution that they offer into the market. And why is Catalyst interesting for them to integrate? There's a couple of reasons, and I've highlighted them here as well. So the UK market, it's a big market. The K-Mobile software is a data collection software that integrates with data that comes from the Ordnance Survey. So their target customer, or the customers that they're selling K-Mobile to can be very large organizations. So with large organizations, the upfront cost of a rollout can be prohibitive, you know, depending on you know, who it is and what they're doing and what their business model looks like. So reducing the upfront cost was an important factor in adding the Catalyst to their solution. And then also flexibility was another key as well. So some customers require high accuracy positions, but they don't need it all of the time. So Catalyst is a cost-effective way to again provide the customer with the capability they need when they need it, but not when they don't. And also, like normal, you know, ease of use is a good thing as well. And then the third example is local to me here in New Zealand. It's a environmental engineering company, and for them, I think there's a few different. This is probably the best example of these three for me. It's not a developer, so this is a user. They've bought the technology, and why Catalyst was a good option for them is they were using phones, but they found that the accuracy from the phone wasn't good enough. And of course, they could have gone the traditional route, but they found that the survey methods or the traditional methods for achieving the desired accuracy just weren't viable. So what Catalyst does is it allows them to achieve the level of accuracy, but there's a couple of unique things here which make Catalyst really stand out. So they have 5 offices across the country, and they have equipped every office with Catalyst antennas, and they share the subscriptions across the offices up and down the country. So, you know, I mentioned before about the challenges of juggling some of the equipment, you know, across teams and especially across locations, such as would be the case in this instance. But they've equipped all offices with the antenna, and then they share the subscription across the offices. So their teams, they have the high accuracy capability when and where it is needed. And then another component here is with the, well, it's true for both the subscription model and the on-demand model, but it's very easy for organizations like this to track the cost of the use of such a technology and then assign that cost to a specific project. So just to sort of come back around. I've covered quite a lot of information here in terms of the different components that are in the system and how much the different things cost, but I just wanted to summarize it on one slide here. So getting started from a user perspective, what do you need to do? So you need to buy the antenna kit, for which is in that 350 USD range, and then you need to decide what level of subscription or what level of service meets your needs. So you can get started for as little as $40 a month, and then there are some different accuracy levels for the prices that are shown on the slide. There are 4 monthly subscriptions: the meter, sub-meter, decimeter, and precision. And then if you're looking for more of a pay-as-you-go model, then the precision on demand is available to you, where you can buy a block of 10 hours and use it or consume those, and then top up as needed as you go. For the developers that are on the line that are interested in adding the Catalyst technology to their solutions, then I think for you, getting started means buying a DA1 antenna and a subscription to trial the service. So you will need to use the Trimble Mobile Manager app to control the Catalyst system, but I encourage you to buy the antenna, to download that app, and trial the service. And if it's something that you want to integrate into your app, then the SDK can be downloaded from the link that's on the screen there. So a quick summary. What is Trimble Catalyst? It's a software-based GNSS solution for Android devices. Very importantly, it integrates with your existing devices and apps, and therefore providing a cost-effective positioning capability for your mobile device. It's very, very flexible in terms of the price, the accuracies, the subscriptions, all of the different business model considerations, and it's very simple and easy to deploy and use across your organizations as well. So I'm going to jump to the next slide, which shows the specifications for the system. And at this time, I'll pause for a moment and have a look at the questions that have come in. So please feel free to enter more questions as we go. The first question is, what is the difference in Catalyst, or between Catalyst and RTX? So Catalyst is the system that provides the positioning capability for an Android device. RTX is one of the different correction technologies that Catalyst uses to achieve the stated accuracy. I hope that's clear. The next question is the TDC 600, which is the mobile device from Trimble that I showed on an earlier slide. The TDC 600 has a USB Type-C port, while the DA1 has a mini USB port. Do I need to use a hardware converter? So there's 2 ways that you can solve that. You can get a I think actually the latest antennas come with a little converter or a little adapter that allows you to plug it into the USB-C on the TDC 600, or you could look at replacing the entire cable and replacing it with one that has a USB-C adapter on the end. Here's one of the more common questions: is it compatible with an iPhone, with iOS? The answer is no. It is providing the positioning capabilities to Android devices only. So there's a question: what what's the accuracy of the catalyst antenna? So the accuracy, you can see it in the positioning performance data that is currently on the screen. So it depends on the subscription level, but if you subscribe to the highest level of accuracy, then the data sheet here shows horizontally you can achieve down to 10 millimeters, plus minus 10 millimeters, and vertically plus minus 20 millimeters. Can I share a subscription with more devices? So yes, you can. That was like I described in one of the use case examples. There was an organization that had multiple antennas and multiple devices. So there could be, there could be two people in different locations. Each person has an antenna and a mobile device and the software. They could, in theory, share. Well, there's two ways they could do it. If you've got a monthly subscription, then they could share that subscription between the two of them, but the limitation would be that they cannot use it at the same time. Alternatively, they could choose, or they could use the on-demand model, and they could both draw from a common pool of minutes. Is there any expiry date on the precision on demand when you activate it? So precision on demand, that's a good question. I'll get back to you on that one, Ali. I believe there is some expiration. I think it's in the 12-month time frame, but it's a good question. How long does it take if a customer buys the on-demand option until they really receive the license and ready to use? So the way that the technology is distributed, I guess, varies depending a little bit on where you are. In some regions, Trimble has a website, or through our distribution partners, websites are set up where you can go on to the website and purchase, or you can sort of manage your subscription and purchase more hours. And in that case, it's just a matter of seconds or minutes until the pool of hours is topped up, depending on what you purchase. In other locations where we don't have the website set up, then it's a matter of contacting our distribution partners. So if you go to geospatial.trimble.com, there is a dealer finder, or dealer locator, sorry, on the website. And using that tool, you can find your local distribution partner, and then working with them, you can get your hands on the technology. If I purchase a 10 centimeter subscription for 3 months, can I activate them for a period of 3 months, or do I have to activate them? Can I activate them for a period of 3 months, or do I have to activate them one at the time? I'm not sure I understand the question. So you can buy multiple months of subscription at the same time. The way that I presented it is it's a monthly subscription, and that's what it is. But if you choose to buy 12 months at the same time, then in effect you're buying an annual subscription. So what's the minimum number of hours a user can purchase for the on-demand precision? It's 10 hours. You can buy a block of 10 or a block of 100 hours. and that's at $10 per hour USD. So depending on your location, that gives you some ballpark for what it costs. There's a question about comparing the accuracy between Catalyst, the R2, and the TDC 150 in difficult environments. That's a good question. So you know, on a webinar like this, it's hard to really characterize the difference in performance. It's always, you know, well, it's usually a matter of just taking the technology and testing it to see if a given technology is going to work in a given location. There are so many variables with GNSS technology that it's very hard to say, you know, that a certain product will work in a certain place without just actually going and testing it. What I can describe though is, and it's what I was touching on a little bit earlier, is the difference between the TDC 150 and the R2 in comparison to Catalyst is that the TDC 150 and the R2 are purpose-built, day in, day out, positioning solutions that are rugged. They work to different temperature ranges. They're really designed for professional users that are using them all day, every day. And you know, their positioning capabilities or the robustness of the position that they're giving to you is the best that we can, you know, the best that or some of the best that's available in the industry. You know, we have a range of GNSS products. We've just released the R12, and that is breaking new ground in terms of performance under canopy, which the R2 and the TDC 150 cannot match. But if you look at sort of, you know, what I would loosely call an industry standard in terms of, you know, the positioning performance of the R2 and the TDC 150, they're very, very good. Catalyst, on the other hand, to allow us to offer it at, you know, the price points that I've mentioned, we had to make some compromise on performance. So, you know, I mentioned already, and you can see on the data that's on the screen, that it doesn't support every signal that's in the that's coming down from the various constellations, like the R12 does, for example. But it supports a lot, and the performance is very, very good. It's sort of it's hard to say how good, but it's very, very good. But Catalyst is designed for the user that, you know, needs to work for a few hours, a few days a week. If you're a user that is you know, using the product or looking for a solution that will be used day in, day out, then I would probably point you toward some of the other more rugged and I suppose purpose-built solutions that are in the portfolio. It's a long-winded answer, but it's hard to characterize, you know, where the different products sort of fit from a performance standpoint. How much is the Trimble tablet? So that is something that I'd probably point you toward your local distribution partner, local reseller to discuss exactly. So with the precision on demand model, how is time charged? Is it when the device is switched on? Is there a minimum time block per use, etc.? So the way that works is it counts, or the way that it counts is hour by hour. So you are, I think there's a dialog that pops up to say, yes, I want to start an hour, and then that hour just uses the system clock, I think, to run through. If you stop using it after 10 minutes, then the hour, that full hour is consumed. You don't save 50 minutes that you can start with next time, if that makes sense. So every time you start the system, it's costing you at least $10 for that first hour, and then $10 for every subsequent hour, if that makes sense. So apps that are used with Catalyst, do they need to be cloud-based or can they be offline? So they can be either cloud-based or offline. So Catalyst is working online and it's also working in offline environments as well. How is the system deployed for moving assets? I'm not sure I understand the question, Kenneth. Feel free to clarify that a little bit. Is it available in Malaysia? Yes, it is. In Malaysia, we don't have the Trimble infrastructure to deliver the highest levels of accuracy via the Trimble Corrections Hub, however. So if you are looking for sub-meter or meter level performance, that's fine. Because it uses our Trimble RTX technology, or if that's not available, it'll use SBAS technology. In Malaysia, though, at least in parts of Malaysia, I know that there is a local VRS network. So if you're requiring decimeter or centimeter level of accuracy, you will be required to use the Trimble Mobile Manager software to connect to that service. Do I need a mobile phone signal to achieve 2 centimeter accuracy? No, so this system works completely independent of mobile phone signals. It's using the GNSS and the Trimble infrastructure to deliver the corrections that enable the accuracy that I mentioned. If we have a known survey market, is it possible to use this to increase the accuracy? Not sure I understand that question, Peter, but please clarify if you're still on the line. Will it work without a mobile signal at the time of GPS collection? Yes, it will. So it works offline, and the one comment I would make in terms of online and offline functionality is to achieve the centimeter and decimeter levels of accuracy, you are relying on VRS or local internet base technology, and that is delivered over the internet. Those corrections are delivered over the internet. So if you are offline in the field, you can still use the system, but the corrections hub will fall back to the Trimble RTX technology, which will give you sort of 30 to 50 centimeter level performance. Can be better than that, but just depends a little bit where you are. And the other thing I should say as well is if you subscribe to, say, centimeter level accuracy, then that is the best accuracy that you will achieve. However, if the infrastructure doesn't exist in your location to deliver that level of accuracy, the system will fall back and deliver the best level of accuracy that it can based on where you are and the technology that it has available. But most customers, I think it's probably the biggest question is whether you're online or offline, because even if you're in a VRS environment, if you're in the city, for example, you've got an internet connection, you can use the system will connect into the VRS and you can achieve that 1 to 2 centimeter accuracy. If you move out of the city, and you get into an environment where you're not connected to the internet, then the system will fall back because it has to rely on the Trimble RTX technology rather than the VRS. So that's probably the biggest variable in terms of how customers use it, since they're generally not moving too far. There's a few questions here about the cost of some different Trimble components. what I recommend there is that you go to geospatial.trimble.com and you use the dealer locator and make contact with your local distribution partner if you don't already know who that is, to find out about local pricing for your region. Can the DA1 and Catalyst service be used with the TSC7? The answer is no, because the TSC7 is running Windows 10 and Catalyst is working only with Android devices. So next question, what are the changes since the first release of Catalyst? So this is a good question. And it really actually highlights something that's quite special and unique with the software-defined GNSS solution. So with a GNSS solution where the implementation is in software, it's a lot easier for Trimble to roll out updates to the software than it is to hardware components of the system if you compare it to some of the other products across the portfolio. So what that means is over the time when Catalyst has been on the market, I don't know the exact number, but there's been probably 3 or 4 different new releases to the positioning engine that operates on your device. And it's not just the workflow in the software, for example. It actually adds GNSS signals. It improves multipath mitigation. It's some of the core GNSS functionality that enables the accuracies that I'm talking about. So thank you for that question. And then in addition, actually, the other thing that we've added is the on-demand subscription model, or the on-demand pay-as-you-go model. So when Catalyst was first released, the only option was the monthly subscription. Since then, we have added the on-demand option as well, and which lets you pay as you go, but it also provides the advantage to larger organizations to use a similar philosophy to how I think some organizations use their cell phones. So they can equip every member, every field worker, what have you, with a device, and then they draw from a common pool of minutes. So using that on demand, a larger organization can deploy an antenna to everyone that's in the field, and then they can, maybe they buy 500 hours of on-demand time, so to speak, and then the field workers can pull from that single, or they can take from that single pool of minutes as they go. And then when the pool runs low, then you can make another single purchase to again provide that ongoing capability to a workforce of, could be 2 people, could be 2,000 people. So there's a comment there about using Catalyst with Esri's collector. Esri, so the collector, Esri collector for ArcGIS has native support integrated into the app. There's a question around the difference between the R1 and Catalyst. I think I explained that earlier. So the R1 is a hardware implementation, and Catalyst is a software implementation, with the antenna being more of an accessory, or considered an accessory. And I'll take one more question. There's a long list here, so thank you for the questions. Like I said, I'll get back to everyone that's asked a question in the next day or so. looking for a common theme across the questions to take the last one. Here's one. So do you have a tutorial videos of how to use the device? So for more information, there's two things I'd encourage you to do. First is to go to our website, which is catalyst.trimble.com. And there's a whole lot of information online there for users to understand how the technology can be deployed, across the organization, but also for developers too. So for the developers on the line that are interested in integrating this technology into your solutions to bring added value to your customer base, there's information there on the SDK and how to get started with that as well. So I'll leave the next slide up just for a couple of seconds that has my contact information on it. So if there are any more questions once the webinar is finished, please don't hesitate to email me or phone or text or whatever you like. Again, just say I hope everybody is safe and well, and thank you for attending today's webinar.